All right. Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining today, and welcome to Blue Triangle's product training. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So in today's session, we're going to be discussing the Aggregate Waterfall in the Blue Triangle portal, as well as how to use the comparison feature on that page. And there's really a number of use cases for this, but the general functionality is that it allows you to compare the Aggregate Waterfall over two time periods, or two set of filter options. So this could mean two different A/B segments or anything like that. And you're able to see what's different between the two. Maybe there's new content loading on one side and not the other, or maybe that content is loading much slower on one side compared to the other. And so this information allows you to see, what's slowing down during a sale, what maybe during a performance issue, what content was slowing down, or for an A/B segment, which is performing better, right? Like I said, there's really a lot of use cases for this, and we'll be getting into a little more of that here shortly. But to introduce myself, I'm Mark Heidemann. I'm the support manager here at Blue Triangle. This is a picture of me and my recently adopted new puppy. So that's Benji there, and this is the picture of his adoption day. He's a lab mix, and he's actually a lot bigger now, but that's been an exciting experience. Anyways, we do these trainings each week, or maybe every 2 out of 3 weeks, and we just talk about general web performance related topics, as well as how to use the Blue Triangle portal to solve problems, right? So let's go ahead and get started here. So kind of an overview of the session today. We're going to talk a little bit about the Aggregate Waterfall and how the page works, and like how to interpret the data. And then we'll get into how to actually do one of these comparisons. And then we'll kind of go through a few use cases comparing before, during, or after some significant site events, such as adding a new tag or service, maybe a site outage, performance slowdown, holiday peak, and during or after a sale. So these are all ways you can use this comparison to identify changes in third-party or first-party resources and domains on your site. So let's see here. So let's go ahead and jump into the Blue Triangle portal, and I'm going to kind of walk you through how to get to the page and really kind of start from scratch here. So let's see. I think for most folks on the call, their default page is going to be this digital experience overview. It's actually a really great page, and if you want any more information about this dashboard, particularly the scores here are really involved, and there's a lot of information you can get out of this. Check out our product training, our past product trainings. If you go to the Help Center, there's this big button for product training. You can also just search for DEO, Digital Experience Overview. There's documentation here about the dashboard widget. There should also be, a few different trainings. There's a guide here. And we also did training on the scoring module, the Blue Triangle scoring module, which is this up here. So anyways, I just wanted to point that out because this is a very interesting dashboard. So getting to the Aggregate Waterfall, it's going to be under real user or synthetic monitoring. We have it for both. So you're going to go under web browser if you're under real user, and if you're under synthetic, you're going to go under real browser and Aggregate Waterfall. Okay, but the first thing I want to do is let's kind of walk through the process of how you would get to the Aggregate Waterfall. So let's go to real user data, and we're going to start on the performance detail page. So I have the home page selected right now, and we're looking at the last 24 hours. I'm actually aware that there was a AWS outage yesterday, and I'd like to analyze that. So I'm going to actually change the time period to just all of yesterday, just so we can see that outage in the graph. All right, we actually had this event marker here indicating that there was this outage. So clearly we can see some issues, performance issues happening as a result of this outage. So what I'd like to do is let's compare 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. and 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. right? So let's see what it looks like right before the outage and during the outage. And then we can see, what was slowing down during that time period. So how do we do that? So let's just let's go straight over to the Aggregate Waterfall. There's a few ways you can get there. Actually, you can click here, or you can go use the menu that I was just using. Let's go to it from here. So one thing that might happen is when you first go to this page, there may not be a page name selected. We do recommend selecting one page at a time, just because it's not normal to look at all the content loading on your site as a whole, because different things load on different pages, right? There's certain things that load on product pages that aren't going to load on your home page, right? So we're just going to be focusing on the home page for this demonstration today. Now, before I get into the comparison and everything, let's just kind of walk through this page and talk about a few things here. So the first thing to point out is, it's in the name, but this is an aggregate waterfall. So it represents, thousands of real user page views and how the content loaded, the resources and domains loaded on those page views. All right, so that's different from looking at, you can come over here to the performance detail page, and you can click on one of these triangles which have the object level detail, and you can scroll down and you're able to view the waterfall here. But this is only representing the information for one page load. Now, what we're doing on the aggregate waterfall is we're taking all of this and combining it, aggregating it into this view here. So you're able to see kind of generally, on average, how things load, what content's loading before a certain performance milestone, and things like that. So that leads me into the next thing I'll talk about is all these lines here. So obviously the x-axis here is performance time, rather, and these lines in the middle of the graph are the performance metric milestones. So that would be DOM interactive, onload, timed interactive, largest contentful paint, cumulative layout, shift end, things like that. Okay, so right now we're looking at the domain level view. You can look at the object level detail view as well. So I'll just kind of switch that to that really quick. And here, obviously, we get a lot more information because there are, several objects loading for each domain. Now, there's also a few ways you can filter down this view. You can look at the slowest files loading before largest contentful paint, for example. So maybe these are files you want to consider the loading order, changing the loading order. Maybe they're not needed to load this early in the page. You can also break this down by first party and third party content. So I just clicked on first party and we're just loading that up now. And we're still looking at the slowest files before largest contentful paint. We can flip that to third party. As a matter of fact, our btt.js tag is loading prior to largest contentful paint. We typically don't recommend loading it this early. We recommend loading it after the onload event, just because we're not needed early. There's some reasons why loading it earlier can be beneficial. One thing is we're able to collect more information on JavaScript errors and things happening earlier in the page load. But generally speaking, we're able to collect basically everything by simply loading after the onload event. Anyways, so this is kind of a summary of what this page can do. Now, there's also a table view, and the table view is actually pretty cool. You're able to see for each file the domain, how many times it's actually shown up, and there's relative start time, how long it actually took to load, and then there's a few of these impact related metrics. And basically what this is showing is how much impact does this particular tag or domain have on the amount of loading that's done to assemble your page, right? So these are really cool to look at, how big of an impact is a new tag having on your site, right? Okay, and one more thing I wanted to point out, you're able to see, if you click this button here, you're actually able to see the performance or total duration of a particular file or domain over time. So it just kind of takes the time period from up here and plugs it in and just looks at this specific file. Another thing you can do is actually just click the file name itself, and that'll take you to the domain details for this particular file. So it kind of fills in the search bar here. You can see that we have a few other files loading, and you can click those, or you can click here to trend all for all of the content for bttag.com. Alright, so kind of just some cool tips and tricks about the interface here. One more thing is you can actually customize this table. So you can change the order of the columns. You can, included over here is to the right. So you can change the order of the columns. You can add or remove columns, and you can reset to the defaults down here. All right, and then down at the bottom, we see resource timings by file. This is just some more performance-related information by file. Now, one more really important thing to point out on this page is, like, we're not showing 100% of the files. So, like, if we max out all the filters here, so I'm going to go back to all here, first and third party content, and we're going to go to all the files before 120 seconds. That's just kind of like a default cutoff that we have. So there's a filter option, a couple of kind of settings I want to point out that you can manipulate on this page. For example, if you're not seeing a particular file or domain, chances are you need to come in here under the advanced filters and kind of change some things around. So number of objects and minimum sample size are the two I want to point out. So number of objects just means how many resources do we want to show on the page. Like, there can be so many resources for each page, and especially for the site as a whole. So we're limiting this just so we don't overload you with data here. And you can raise that limit up to 1,000 to show a lot more information. And you can also say, show me all the files that have at least 25 samples during this time period. So maybe if it's not loading very frequently, you can lower that to all the way down to 1 or like 5. So right now I've kind of maxed out the capability of what can be seen here. Alrighty, so that's kind of just a lot about the functionality of the page and some more information about it. Now let me I kind of started with the use case here, and then I got carried away into what, like, how to use the Ag Waterfall. So let's go back and talk about what we're actually going to use the comparison feature for. So there's this outage that happened, and it caused a performance issue, right? So what I'd like to do is compare. So this is 10 a.m. to about 11 a.m. So we're going to compare 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. and 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. So we're going to compare the 9 a.m. hour to the 10 a.m. hour, in other words. So, and for now, we're just going to be looking at the homepage, just so we're focusing in on where the performance issue is. Maybe it happened on multiple pages. In this case, let's say that it happened most significantly on it impacted the homepage most significantly. So going into the filters, we have our homepage set. The next thing we're going to do is change the time period to 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Hit apply. So that's going to load up here, and then all we're going to do is hit this run comparison button. You may have noticed that while I've been walking through the page here, but that is the button we're going to hit, and it's basically just going to open up the filter options again. So we're going to open up the run comparison. So there's, like I was saying before, there's a variety of things you can compare here. You can compare A/B segments, you can compare two different time periods, and that's what we're going to do in this case. So let's compare. So 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. is on the page. Now we're going to take 10 a.m. to 11 a.m., hit apply that time period. Make sure we have the home page selected and all the filters are the same. We're going to hit apply filters for comparison. So you can already see the second waterfall graph is being built now. And so over on the left we have 9 to 10 on 12:15. And over here we have 10 to 11 on 12:15. So, and that's for the home page. So, it's kind of difficult to look at the waterfalls themselves. I mean, some of these are easier to read than others. But really the good information you want to look at here is going to be in the center column. So at the top, we're able to see the page level performance metrics, or performance milestones in the page load, as they're sometimes called, and you're able to see how it changed from the left side to the right side. So the left side, for example, time to diameter active was 1.4 seconds, and the right side was 5.15 seconds. And that represents a change of a lot, basically. And, it's 267% slower, right? Now, you can go down to the graph down here as well. And the table here, and this shows duration of each domain, and you can see the left side and the right side and how that changed, the percent change, as well as the actual delta. And so here you can see the slower loading tags during the sorry, I didn't actually sort that yet. So here you can see the slower loading tags during the AWS outage that we were looking at, which caused some performance slowness. So it's very possible each of these tags are using AWS and maybe had to reroute traffic or were impacted in some other way. But this gives you the ability to see, what was actually slowing down. Now, this is the domain level. You can also see it at the object level detail level. And there's some cool stuff going on here with the object level, detail level. There's this shading in the cells here, and that just means it represents where it's loading compared to some performance metrics. So the purple here means before time to DOM interactive. This darker purple means between time to DOM interactive and time to DOM content loaded. And then the kind of blue is between time to DOM content loaded and onload. And then everything in white is after onload. Now, yeah, files loading after onload are unshaded. So we can also do the sort by percent change. First of all, you're able to see what files are loading on the left side and the right side only. So it looks like we added, on the right side, we added some new files, and they were actually put there before time to DOM interactive, which is typically not recommended unless they're important. So that may be one thing to think about. And then the other thing is kind of looking at the performance of each of these resources and how it changed from time period A to time period B over here. So this particular A1 token.jsp file was pretty killer performance degradation, as you can see here. And probably more important are these files that are slowing down, that are loading prior to onload, like this query, maybe some of these others down here. So these would be things to probably investigate. All right, so I think that is everything I had to share with you guys today. I see we're coming up on our time here, so I'm gonna pause now and check the chat and the questions, and I'll see what if there's anything I can help answer for you guys. So let me pull up the slides. All right, so I see that there was one question earlier, and somebody was having an issue finding the page name filter on the aggregate waterfall, and I'll have to look into this because I am not able to replicate any sort of issues. Obviously, we have it here, but the page name filter should be here. You can just drop down the filter options, and under the page segmentation, it should be at the bottom. So I'll reach out to that individual, and if there's anybody else having that issue, let me know, and we can check into that. Okay. So any other questions? I don't see any right now. So I'm gonna kind of go ahead and close it out for today. Appreciate everyone's time, and if you do have any questions, we're always happy to speak with you offline. So feel free to reach out to us anytime. You can use our support email address, which is support@bluetriangle.com. You can use any of the other emails listed here. Our help center is a great resource as well. Help.bluetriangle.com. You can submit a ticket through there as well. And all right, guys, thanks again for your time, and we look forward to seeing you all next time. Have a great day.